Hey, Mike Swenson here with the Elite Advantage team. Hey, a lot of people ask getting into real estate, is it something I should try part-time or something I should do full-time? And when you're thinking about this, a couple things to consider are time and money. So in terms of money, what is the money that I have available right now, and what is the money that I need coming out the other side? And thinking about that, do you have enough money to weather the storm of getting your license, waiting for your first couple closings until they actually show up? Do you have enough saved up? Do you have somebody else that can help in terms of covering your expenses? Do you have a spouse or significant other maybe that can pick up some extra shifts or earn a little bit of extra money in the meantime? So thinking about money, what does that look like for you? And then thinking about time. For some of you, you just don't have the time available right now to be able to do that. And for some of you, you do. And so thinking about what's that look like, I've talked about a transition into real estate is like running a sprint. And so thinking about it like a sprint, do I have enough resources to be able to get me to the finish line, which is having those first couple closings where the money starts to show up. So really take a look at that. Ask yourself, what do I have for time? What do I have for money available? For those of you that do want to do this part-time or are considering transitioning part-time, a few words of wisdom for you. So one thing to think about in terms of expectations, unfortunately in real estate, half the amount of time isn't going to necessarily produce half the results. So, if my goal just for clean, easy numbers was $100,000, if I spend half the time on that getting into real estate, I'm not going to make $50,000. It's probably more like, half the amount of time is going to produce the quarter of the results. And if we think about it just like a hockey stick growth or a mastery growth, it takes time to get to that leading edge where you're going to see that growth. And so if I'm only able to put in half the time or a quarter of the time, I probably shouldn't expect half the results. Take that goal and cut that in half. So maybe a quarter of those results for half the time. And that's okay. Just be patient with yourself to do that. The other thing that you want to be thinking about if you are part-time is the amount of leverage and the amount and how you plan your time. There's a famous quote by President Woodrow Wilson. I'm going to read it. He says, if I'm to speak for 10 minutes, I need a week of preparation. If 15 minutes, 3 days. If a half hour, 2 days. And if an hour, I'm ready right now. So basically what he's saying is, to make the maximum impact, he needs a lot more preparation. So for you in transitioning into real estate and only doing it part-time, for those few hours that you're available, you need to be on. You need to be as sharp as possible because you don't have the luxury of the extra time. If I were working 8 or 10 hour days in real estate, I'm going to have a couple good hours. I'm going to have a couple bad hours. Maybe I should say less productive hours, maybe not bad hours, but you've got more time, so you have more availability. And so if you aren't as productive as you can, you have time to make that up. When you're transitioning part-time, you don't have that extra time. And so if you've got 2 hours, you got to maximize that 2 hours of time. And then the other thing to think about is not only the time you're spending, but how you're spending your time. You have to be very focused, very strategic with your time. So what I would consider is thinking about, how do I leverage as much as I possibly can if I am part-time, because it's going to take a long time to get that momentum to where I can transition full-time. So not that people can't do it. There's been lots of very successful people that have transitioned part-time to full-time, but give yourself the grace to be able to understand the expectations and what is the fruit that's going to leave for me. So really be honest with yourself. Think about that time available, the money that you have available, and especially if you're a part-time agent trying to transition for full-time, how am I going to get that momentum? So if I was an agent and I was working 8 to 10 hours a day and I had a hot hour or a hot couple of hours, you can ride that momentum. If you're working part-time, maybe you only have 2 hours available in an evening and you get on a hot streak and you're starting to build some momentum, you're stopped. You don't have that extra time, so your momentum stops. So it's going to take some time to get that momentum back. And so that's why when I talk about it might take If you're only working half the time, you might only see a quarter of the results. That's why, because that momentum stops. You don't have an ability to ride that momentum to grow and grow and grow and grow and grow. So just be honest with yourself and plan out your time. Be as sharp as you can with the time you have. Schedule your time. Do what you need to do during the time you need to do it, and then make sure that you're leveraging as much as you possibly can. So think about how can you have other people take things off your plate so that you're as sharp as you can be during the time you have committed to real estate. What we don't want to see happen is there's just not enough oxygen there to be able to survive, and then you end up having to go do something else with your time because you didn't give it your all, or you didn't have enough available resources to give it your all. So hopefully that was helpful for you considering part-time versus full-time in real estate. If you have any questions or you want to talk more about it, certainly reach out to me. I'd be happy to assist you. Thanks so much. Hey, wait! If you want to watch another one of our videos about buying, selling, or investing in real estate, or resources for our agents, click here. If you want to subscribe to our channel, click here. Thanks.